The Biden administration has worked out an agreement with up to 130 countries around the world mandating a 15% minimum tax for corporations. Is this finally something that's going to get corporations to pay their fair share in taxes? Let's talk about it in today's video. I'm Mike Greiner. I'm a lifelong Democratic activist who's concerned about the direction our country is taking. If you share my concerns, maybe you could like this video and subscribe to this channel, maybe even click that little bell that will notify you when I post something new. So since the 1950s, when most taxes were paid by corporations and a relatively small amount of taxes were paid by individuals, more and more the tax burden has been shifted onto individuals as corporations have gotten more and more of a pass. In fact, this race to the bottom of corporations paying less and less in taxes has only accelerated since 1980. On average now, most corporations only pay 14% of their profits in taxes, much lower than most American individual families pay. So if you think that's not fair, join the club. President Biden agrees with you, by the way. That's part of why he and his Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, have gone around the world trying to negotiate this deal with countries to try to put some alternative minimum tax level for corporations around the world. In theory, no longer will corporations be able to shift some of their profits to a country like Ireland, where they have a very low corporate tax rate, and they're able to then book their profits at that lower tax rate and then shift the profits after taxes back to the United States. For example, Facebook made $15 billion in profit in 2018. That's the equivalent of about $10 million for each of its employees there. Do you think that it actually made $15 billion of profit in Ireland? Probably not. It just shifted those profits over there from the United States and other higher taxing locations. Similarly, Bristol-Myers Squibb recorded close to $5 billion of profit in Ireland, or roughly $7.5 million per employee. And Ireland isn't the only offender. Apple moved some of its intellectual property to Jersey, a small island in the English Channel. And the Nike swoosh, you know that symbol? Well, that belongs to one of Nike's subsidiaries in Bermuda, another low-taxing jurisdiction. So 15% alternative minimum tax is a start, right? Well, here's the problem. As has been shown by Apple going to Jersey, these companies will shift their operations to any country out there that's willing to offer them the lower tax rate. Even though there are 130 countries that are supposedly agreeing to this deal, there are at least 195 countries in the world, which means that there's still a large chunk of countries that are not participating in this deal. And the truth is, the companies only need one. They will go to extreme lengths to find a country that will enable them to lower their costs. Consider the example of ships that are registered in Liberia. Now, Liberia is a small country on the northwest coast of Africa. It was basically established by the United States as a place where it would be able to send former slaves after they had been freed. In fact, the capital of Liberia is Monrovia, named for U.S. President James Monroe. In fact, I believe it is the only major city outside the United States named for a U.S. president. Now, this close relationship between the United States and Liberia made it possible for essentially American shippers to register their ships there while avoiding the labor laws and other costs that are associated with registering their ships here in the United States. As a result, this small Northwest African country has one of the largest merchant marines in the world. So all it takes is one country to agree to provide the lower taxes for the companies to shift their profits over there. Instead, what needs to be done is we need to address the accounting rules that enable corporations to shift profits overseas in the first place. When profits are made by an American corporation, either in the United States or overseas, they should pay taxes on those profits here in the United States. And the minimum amount of those taxes should be 25%, an amount that makes sense and would require these corporations to contribute their fair share to the expenses that we have here in the United States. So while I applaud Janet Yellen and President Biden for their efforts to address the tax evasion by American corporations, really this is just a first step. We need to take additional steps to make sure that companies no longer are able to shift their profits overseas and avoid paying taxes on them as a result of it. So if you agree with me or disagree with me, I'd love to hear your comments below. If you could like this video, subscribe to this channel, maybe even click that little bell to notify you when I post something new, that'd be a huge help. I'll see you in the next video, and in the meantime, Let's hope for continued progress. Thank you.